Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha Tammy Haq, and I'll be moderating this session. I'm sure you know that last year, Beacon House held a similar session, and it was called Whose Heritage Is It Anyway? So this is a follow-on from that. And our cultural heritage is such that I think that every year, Beacon House, every year that they do this event, they should do this the same topic, because our culture is being eroded. There are problems, and we really need to own it. We need to take it back, and we need to do something about it. I want to introduce the panel to you. We have a very interesting panel today. Our first panelist is Mr. Salman Rashid. Mr. Salman Rashid is a fellow of the Royal Geographical Society. He's a travel writer. He's written 9 travel books on Pakistan so far, and his 10th is due out in January 2018. Mr. Salman Rashid. Our next panelist is Mr. Wajid Jawad. Mr. Jawad is a businessman and publisher, and he is extremely fond of poetry. He's known in the Karachi literary circles as a respected scholar. He has been involved with various groups in promoting Urdu poetry. He has produced a pocketbook. He's produced several pocketbook versions of the complete poems of Ghalib, Faiz, and has spoken widely on Ghalib's life and poetry. Our third panelist is Ms. Sheema Kirmani. I'm sure you all saw her in the news very recently, or at least on social media. Sheema is the director of Tehreek-e-Niswa and is a prominent theater practitioner and activist for women's rights and peace. She is also a trained classical dancer, choreographer, and is a dance teacher. Our final panelist is Ms. Nigar Nazar. She is the first woman cartoonist of Pakistan and of the Muslim world. Her creation, Gogi, I'm sure you're all very familiar with Gogi. Gogi, his cartoons have appeared in a number of daily newspapers, periodicals, and TV programs at home and abroad. So this session, Who Owns Our Cultural Heritage, is, I think, one of the more important sessions of this very important conference that's happening. Because unless we know who we are, what our identity is, we really aren't going very far. So I'd like to start with asking each of the panelists to make a brief statement for a couple of minutes, and then we'll get into a conversation on culture and our heritage and what we can do to keep control of it. So Salman, would you like to start?
Thank you very much. Culture, first of all, culture is a living entity that grows out of the land, out of the dharti. It cannot be imposed upon people. It just grows organically. That having been said, and as I said, it's a living entity. It grows, it evolves, it changes with outside influences. The question of who owns culture, everybody does. You, I, the man in the village, we all own culture. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, culture has been usurped by the state. And the state is now, for the past 70 years, the state has been making attempts to mutate this culture according to the ideology it has manufactured for Pakistan. Mutations are always ugly. Consequently, what we have now is a hodgepodge of culture. Also, since the advent of television, I've been traveling for the last 40 years inside Pakistan. I've been to very, very remote areas. I've seen how the thinking processes of people have changed, how stories have altered. And I have noticed that remote places where television has not yet reached still retain their original culture in its original form as it was, say, 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago. And with with the invasion of television, things have changed. So while everyone, all individuals, they own culture, it is now being mutated by according to the wishes of the state.
What you're saying is that the meme has changed, and television has had a great deal to do with that. So corrupted it and mutated it. You know, as like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, they mutate with different outside influences. Wajid, I mean, we talk a lot about these things, but what about the language? I mean, are we losing language? Are people forgetting old languages? Have we kind of mutated the language as well?
میرا خیال ہے اردو زبان کو پروموٹ کرنے کے لیے لیکن اور تجویز بھی میری یہ ہے کہ اب چونکہ اب سب لوگ انٹرنیٹ پہ آ گئے ہیں اور سارے ایپس پہ آ گئے ہیں تو یہاں پر بے شمار انگریزی کی کہانیاں کارٹونس اور گیمز سب انگریزی میں ہیں تو ان کو اردو میں بھی اویلیبل کیا جائے اردو میں آپ لکھ سکیں اردو میں کمیونیکیٹ کر سکیں یہ تمام چیزیں جب تک نہیں ہوں گی اور جب تک ان کے پاس یہ بھی ایزی ٹول نہیں ہوگا تو یہ شاید بات اتنی آگے نہ بڑھے تو اس پہ کام ہو رہا ہے بہت لوگ کر رہے ہیں اس پہ ذرا آفیشیل پیٹرنیج بھی کچھ چاہیے
Official patronage کی جب بات ہوتی ہے, so you also, you know, it's not just language and Urdu is the national language, but there are, I think, more than 60 other languages, official languages in Pakistan, and we seem to forget about those and we lose them along the line. But we'll come back and talk more about language. Sheema, tell us a little about owning our cultural heritage through theatre and the stage. And just so that everybody knows, if anyone did a really brave act to take back our cultural heritage, it was Sheema very recently, where she went to Sevan and she danced at Sevan in total defiance of the horrible act that had happened there just a few days before. So I thought that was remarkable and it's really worthy of applause. And that, in my mind, is really taking back your cultural heritage. I mean, that's an example of it.
Thank you, Aisha. What I would like to actually start off by saying is that I think that this question of what is our Pakistani culture is a question that has been posed to us right from 1947, and I don't think that we have still answered that question and come to any conclusion about what exactly is Pakistani culture, because as Salman Saab said, culture is not something that is imposed on people. It is something that evolves over time. And this decision, as Saadat Hasan Manto said, कि वो जो सारा लिटरेचर 47 से पहले लिखा गया था, क्या वो भी डिवाइड होगा, क्या वो पाकिस्तानी कहलाएगा या नहीं कहलाएगा? So I mean, this issue of where we come from, what we are, needs to be looked at, because I think unless you acknowledge your cultural heritage, it is very difficult to, as you said, to move forward. And the cultural heritage that we are sitting on is one of the richest in the world. I mean, if we look at the Indus Valley civilization and 2500 BC Mohenjo-daro, where you have discovered seals on which you have dance, you have music, people with musical instruments, you have yogic postures, and unfortunately, we are sitting where people say, oh no, but this is not our culture. Dance, music, theatre is not part of our culture. But the reason why I decided to go to Sevan was because I really feel that this is our culture. This is our history. This is a tradition that we need to continue forward. Unless that continuity goes, there's nothing new that is going to evolve. Because you really build, I mean, what becomes classical is when you build on past accumulated human knowledge and accumulated human experience, and you mold that.
Nigar comes from a completely different place, because her cartoons are actually really interesting, because I think when you draw cartoons and you put them in newspapers and magazines, people tend to look at them and read them rather than read an entire article. Somehow it's more appealing, or it's just easier to do. But the messages that she manages to put in are really interesting. And creating her own memes, etc. So Nigar, tell us about the influence you think that your cartoons have had on the cultural landscape of Pakistan.
Right, thank you. And Assalamu alaikum all. Coming to the pluralistic, coming to the diverse communities we had and the tolerance we had, I have something to say about that. And that is that culture includes all aspects of life. The customs, the social values, the language, literature, sports, the arts, the buildings, and living styles of the past. While the history is only the record of the past events and persons, cultural heritage is a much wider canvas. It encompasses the entire range of human activity. Pakistan is just 70 years old, but our cultural heritage is spread over centuries. This heritage belongs to us. We have imbibed and absorbed in ourselves much that we inherited from the past. This past cannot be changed and it should not be changed. And we, the members of the civil society, should make sure in our own professions and ways and expressions not to let it be forgotten. But while we readily and proudly own some parts of this heritage, we tend to forget or ignore some of the other cultural heritage. We in Pakistan tend to forget or ignore them, like I said, and especially that of pre-Pakistan and pre-Islamic era. Why? I want to know why. And I want to know why we don't have in our curriculum for our children, for our coming generations, aspects of our cultural heritage projected widely. If this generation, if we, the present generation who is bringing up the new generation, deletes or forgets or ignores putting this heritage aspect in the curriculum, our children will just be burger kids. They'll be eating burgers and talking about Disney movies and excited with the iPads and excited with all those foreign stuff and forget our own. And that is very dangerous. Think about it, that is very dangerous. Urdu is going out. Fine, the masses are still imbibing to Urdu. But think of the elite schools. The teachers come to me and they complain, they say, bhai, हमारे बच्चों को उर्दू नहीं पढ़नी आती, हमें तो उर्दू बहुत मुश्किल लगती है बतानी. Parents कहते हैं, उर्दू सिखानी बड़ी मुश्किल लगती है, बहुत मुश्किल language है. Suddenly they're discovering that Urdu is a very hard language. I mean, we studied it, we learnt it, we read it, and now we are trying to ignore and push out Urdu. That will be very sad. Like someone said over here, if you want to snatch away the heritage or the culture from a society, grab their language and they'll be gone in one generation. And we don't want to even think about it. So yes, let's give it some serious thought. The educationists.
Absolutely. So all four of you have touched on one thing, and maybe we can start this conversation from there, and that is the nexus between religion and culture, and why it's so important in Pakistan. And you've talked about language, but I think everyone has focused on one language, and that's Urdu. But whereas this is a multi-linguistic country, and as I said earlier, there are more than 60 official languages. So we need to, if we can look at the issue of religion and culture, we look at the historical impact of events, and if we can also look at the fact that we have an oral tradition in this country. And that oral tradition is also dying. There's nothing wrong with evolving, there's nothing wrong with the iPad, but it's how we use it. So, what about, you've traveled all over the Punjab, and all over Pakistan, but how many people here, I wonder, know about all these wonderful sites that are ancient and old and are in advanced stages of decay and disrepair, and maybe gone soon?
Yeah, no preservation.
Unfortunately, very few, because we are just not interested. As I keep saying, with the creation of Pakistan, we invented a new persona, a new national persona for ourselves, where Urdu was the national language, forgetting that I'm a Punjabi, and my family comes from Jalandhar. in my home, my parents taught us to speak in Urdu, and when I was 19, I left home, taught myself the Doaba Punjabi, and one day my father caught me speaking on the phone with someone, and he said, "Oye, तुमने ये सिखों वाली पंजाबी कहाँ से सीख ली है? तुम्हारे तो बाप दादा ने कभी नहीं." He was not proud of the language that his ancestors had spoken for 800 years, living in the Jalandhar Doaba. You see, because in the 1920s, a man called Hasrat Mohani, I believe he was a British tout. He said the Punjabis must learn to forget their language and speak only in Urdu, because Punjabi is the language of non-Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs, especially the Sikhs, and that Muslims must only speak Punjabi. Urdu, yes. I think that's where the rot began. And then, because after the creation of Pakistan, we wanted to believe that this was an ideological country, therefore we started equating religion with culture, which is blasphemous. It is absolutely incorrect and untrue and a criminal act. Religion is one thing and culture is another.
It was Salman Rashid Saab said about Punjab giving up Punjabi. Yes, this was a decision adopted by Punjabis. Punjabi Shurafa, they thought کہ یہ سکھوں کی زبان ہے and we should adopt اردو, اور انہوں نے تقریباً ایک دیس نکالا پنجابی کو دے دیا تھا. اور یہ پاکستان کے کریشن کے کئی سال تک ہماری جو بیوروکریسی بھی تھی وہ بھی پنجابی نہیں بولتی تھی. اب تو سب پنجابی بولتے ہیں. لیکن مجھے پچھلے سال اتفاق ہوا جانے کا پنجابی ادبی بورڈ کا آفس. میں ان کو ایک تجویز کسی نے مجھے ایک دفعہ کہی تھی, میرے کسی بزرگ نے, کہ یہ اگر کیونکہ ہی واز سینگ پوئٹری ان پنجابی, انگلش, اردو سب, تو انہوں نے کہا کہ یہ جو اگر پنجابی زبان سندھی حروف تہجی الفابیٹس میں لکھی جائے تو یہ زیادہ اس کا جو ادائیگی بہت بہتر ہو جاتی, کیونکہ اس میں 55 کریکٹرز ہیں, آن جان کھان پین اٹھن بیٹھیے. اچھا, تو یہ میں نے ان کو تجویز ان کے پاس, تو انہوں نے کہا آپ مجھے لکھ کے بھیجیں. تو میں نے کہا کہ میں نے یہ ایک بہت بڑے رائٹر ہیں, پنجابی میں ہی ہیں, پنجاب میں ہیں لیکن اردو کے رائٹر ہیں, تارڑ صاحب. میں نے ان سے کہا یہ تجویز, تو انہوں نے کہا کہ نہیں, میرے والد صاحب تو اردو میں ہی پنجابی پڑھ لیتے تھے. تو میرے پاس اس وقت کا کوئی جواب نہیں آیا, لیکن مجھے خیال آیا بعد میں کہ وہ آپ حرم میں جائیں تو وہاں پر 2 قسم کے قرآن شریف ہوتے ہیں. ایک وہ عربوں کے لیے ہوتا ہے, ایک ہم جیسوں کے لیے ہوتا ہے, اس میں اعراب لگے ہوتے ہیں. تو پھر میں نے ان کو یہ بات کہی کہ وہ پڑھ سکتے ہیں, ہم نہیں پڑھ سکتے اگر, لیکن یہ جو ان کا جو الفابیٹس تھے یہ سندھی کے, یہ بھی کسی جرمن اسسٹنس کے تحت بہت پرانے یہ انہوں نے بنا کے دیے تھے انہیں. اور چونکہ پنجاب نے یہ فیصلہ کر لیا تھا کہ ہم نے یہ کام کرنا ہی نہیں ہے, تو وہ ادھر اس طرف کو وہ آئے نہیں, ورنہ یہ دونوں کے لیے یہ کام کر سکتا. تو اگر پنجابی کو فروغ دینا ہے تو یہ میں نے ان کو ایک تجویز دی تھی. تو پھر میں نے ان سے بائی دا وے پوچھا, میں نے کہا یہ بتائیے کہ آپ کا بجٹ کتنا ہے. پنجابی ادبی بورڈ لاہور میں GOR میں ان کا آفس, سال کے 5 لاکھ روپے ملتے ہیں. پنجاب گورنمنٹ ہمیں 1 لاکھ روپے دیتی ہے, 3 لاکھ روپے شاید یہ نیشنل لینگویج اتھارٹی دیتی ہے, اور 1 لاکھ کوئی اور ادارہ دیتا ہے. میرے پاس 3 کا عملہ ہے, ایک اس میں PN ہے, ایک اس میں یہ 4 ہیں. تو ہم ان کی صرف تنخواہیں, میں 9,000 روپے لیتی ہوں, میں ریٹائرڈ ہوں, مجھے ٹھیک ہے, تو اس میں گزارا کرتی ہوں میں اپنے جو بھی ہے, تو پٹرول کے پیسے اور آنے جانے. تو ہمیں وہ بجٹ اس لیے نہیں دیتے. اب میں نیچے جب گیا تھا, اردو جو وہاں پر بورڈ ہے وہاں پر ان کو 2 کروڑ روپے ملتے ہیں. تو انہیں کا اس لیے نہیں دیتے, وہ کہتے ہیں کہ وہ کہا یہ جاتا ہے کہ پنجابی سب کچھ لوٹ کے کھا گیا ہے, تو اس کو چھوڑ دو. تو یہ آئی تھنک سندھ میں بھی شاید یہی حال ہو, یا اب شاید سندھ میں تھوڑا سا زیادہ پوزیسو ہے سندھی زبان کے بارے میں, لیکن پنجاب میں یہ حال ہے. تو اب اس سلسلے میں
अर्ली 1980s में रशीद भट्टी साहब मरहूम जो कि एक सिंधी थे रोड़ी के, उन्होंने पंजाबियों के लिए हरूफ तहज्जी ईजाद किए थे और खल्ले दे दे के हमें कहते थे कि ओए खाना ख़राब हो या अपना लो, अपनी ज़बान भूल जा रहे हो। वो बेचारे फौत हो गए बग़ैर एक्नॉलेजमेंट के।
जी, मैं ये बात कहना चाह रही हूँ कि आई थिंक बहुत ज़रूरी ये है कि वी मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड where this culture is coming from and who is where the legacy lies and who is carrying it forward. If we do not allow dance, drama, music, theatre, all these things in our educational institutions, then how can people own their cultural heritage? You know, who owns that heritage? It is, I mean, the heritage, the cultural heritage can only move forward if the citizens of a country own that heritage. And here we have divided. If you look at cultural activity, for instance, look at what happens in schools. You don't have any folk dancing. You don't have children knowing what their folk music is. You don't have programs where children can create or learn or produce that. Even at the annual events, what we always have are imitations, poor imitations of the West or Bollywood songs and music. So we are not even trying to keep the whatever traditions, whether you insist that they need to be Islamic and Muslim. I don't think you can divide art on the basis of religion in any case. There is no such thing as Islamic dance and Islamic music and Islamic art. I mean, you know, it is not divided on basis of religion. It is part of an area, it is part of a community, and it has to move forward in that way. And therefore, I think it's very important to bring it to students. We don't have programs on television. There's so many channels. Not one channel has any classical music program on it. Not one. Not even PTV does it anymore, which it used to earlier. So, you know, there's no importance given to any kind of promotion of culture.
But I wanted to build up on the buildings, and I just want to say that we have UNESCO, which has declared only a few places and monuments in Pakistan as the World Cultural Heritage. Unfortunately, our primary interest is the economic utilization of the land of historical places. I mean, Hindu temples have been destroyed, Buddhist historical places of the past have been destroyed to a great extent to make way for commercial enterprises. Now, the closest example, we living in Islamabad, and I think a lot of Islamabadians must be here today, the closest example from this very location are the caves of Shah Aladitta, maybe 25, 30 minutes away? And those caves, the original owners of that village were moaning and complaining about how difficult it was for them to keep that land for themselves. I mean, those are beautiful historical caves. But what were they facing? They were facing some very higher up who came along and said, you have to sell this land to me. The rock crushers are going to be installed. And sure enough, they are installed there, just across the caves, which is so sad. And then there's been a guest house, a beautiful guest house built right adjacent to the caves. And I would recommend you to go there. And the guy said that their grandfather, actually when the bulldozers came along, he lied down in front of the bulldozer and he said, you take this over my body, but I am not going to give you away this land. It has come from my ancestors and I'm the rightful owner of it and you cannot force me. But the people who make the laws, who make the rules, who bring up these beautiful cultural policies ask them and they're gone. So now it's just one part of the cave, one part of the section where the owners of that land have maintained that, and it is sandwiched between this guest house and the rock crushers.
So what do we preserve? Do we preserve everything? How do we preserve it? You know, what do we need to do? Because we're losing things every day.
We
can
have to have a lobby.
Can we preserve everything? I don't know if we can. I doubt it. Because if you look at the history of the world, I mean, you talk about churches and mosques and things. Mosques have been built over churches, and then churches have been rebuilt over mosques. Same with temples. You know, it just depends on the religion of the time. But as now, as an evolved, civilized world, unless, of course, you're in Syria or Iraq or someplace where they're kind of blowing
Muslim
everything
countries.
up. But, you know, what do we do? What do we preserve, and how do we preserve it?
Tammy, just visit England. Their smallest little place is glorified into such historical detail. I mean, I lived there for some time, about 2.5 years, and I went to the place where the Bronte sisters lived. The whole place was developed into a touristic spot. This is where Wuthering Heights was written. This is where Jane Eyre was written. This is where, and every place was developed with so much information on just a piece of land. This is where the Daffodils, that famous poem, the Daffodils was written, and Wordsworth wrote this and that. So those are just places. And they've developed it into complete touristic spots. And they charge you, and they have little literature which is sold out to them, to people, tourists. So they are glorifying their past.
No, you're absolutely
think,
right, because, you know, one has always run off to Derbyshire at the drop of a hat in search of Mr. Darcy, but haven't found him yet.
Yeah, but I would just add that the solution is in the whole story that you told, that if we can make these into profitable ventures, that's how we can probably protect them and save them. And to what you said earlier about this particular person who, you know, challenged these bulldozers, P-walas, and, you know, lied there, that okay, over my dead body. This page reminds me of a couplet by Allama Iqbal, کہ وہ فطرت کے مقاصد کی کرتا ہے نگہبانی یا بندہ صحرائی یا مرد کوہستانی. اور اسی طرح ان کو پروٹیکٹ کرنا. ایک دفعہ زید بخاری صاحب واز ڈائریکٹر جنرل ریڈیو پاکستان. تو ریڈیو پاکستان سے آج تک صبح 6:30 بجے وہ قرآن پاک اور اس کا ترجمہ آتا ہے, اور 6:45 بجے ایک کلاسیکل میوزک کے استاد بڑے غلام علی شاید ہوا کرتے تھے. تو اس زمانے میں ان کے پاس US-8 کی 2 جیپس ہوتی تھیں, تو SUV ٹائپ, تو وہ ایک ان کو لینے جاتی تھی اور ایک ان کو لینے جاتی تھی. تو ایک دفعہ یہ ہوا کہ وہ ایک خراب ہو گئی, تو دونوں میں ایک ہی کو بلا لیا گیا. تو مولانا شام الحق تھانوی ہی پروٹیسٹڈ ٹو خواجہ شہاب الدین دا ایجوکیشن منسٹر, وہ بھی کراچی میں ہی اس وقت ہوتے تھے. تو انہوں نے زید بخاری صاحب کو فون کیا کہ بھائی یہ ہوا ہے تو آپ ان سے معافی مانگ لیجیے گا. انہوں نے کہا اچھا معافی مانگ لوں. وہ مولانا نے کچھ ایک ہفتے بعد کو ریمائنڈ کیا کہ بھائی وہ معافی نہیں مانگی ہے. تو انہوں نے سے پوچھا, انہوں نے کہا میں نے معافی مانگ لی ہے. پھر انہوں نے کہا تو انہوں نے کہا وہ تو کہہ رہے ہیں میں نے, آپ نے مجھ سے معافی نہیں مانگی ہے. کہتے میں نے استاد بڑے غلام علی سے معافی مانگی.
آپ نے بڑے غلام علی صاحب کا ذکر کیا, تو میں یہی کہنا چاہ رہی تھی کہ آپ یہ اس کو بھی ذہن میں رکھنا چاہیے. میں نے پہلے بھی کہا کہ وائی ڈڈ غلام علی خان, بڑے غلام علی صاحب لیو پاکستان. ہی لیفٹ پریسائسلی بیکاز ہی واز ٹولڈ کہ آپ جو بھجن گائیں گے اس میں رام کا ذکر نہیں ہوگا, اس میں کرشن کا ذکر نہیں ہوگا, اس میں گووند کا ذکر نہیں ہوگا. ہی سیڈ یہ تو سنچری سے ہم لوگ گا رہے ہیں, کتنے 100 سالوں سے یہ چلا آ رہا ہے, یہ میں نے نہیں لکھا ہے یہ بھجن. تو مطلب ایکچولی اس وقت سے جسٹ آفٹر 47 یہ پالیسیز آ گئی تھیں کہ ذکر نہیں ہوگا رام کا, ذکر نہیں ہوگا کرشن کا آپ کے کسی بھی ریڈیو, کسی بھی نے. اس کے بعد یہ بھی یاد رکھیے, گو کہ فیض صاحب از ناٹ اے پروڈکٹ آف پاکستان. ہی واز بورن مچ بفور 1947 اینڈ فار ایئرز فیض صاحب واز بینڈ آن ریڈیو پاکستان, واز بینڈ آن PTV, اینڈ سو واز بلے شاہ بینڈ آن PTV اینڈ ریڈیو. تو یہ تو شروع سے ہم لوگوں کا رہا ہے کہ جو بھی ایک طرح سے سنکریٹک کلچر تھا اس کو نہیں آگے بڑھانا ہے. They decided that they want to create something which is, I don't know, I mean, how can one say what is that Pakistani culture, but basically based on one kind of religion. That is what
I
it
think
was
the
all
question
about.
really is this Pakistani culture as old as Meher Ghar, or is Pakistani culture is from start in 1947? And that's the
Exactly.
question.
That's the question.
And I don't think anyone has answered it, But we have Ghazi Salahuddin sitting in the audience, and I've sent him a mic. And so I thought we could ask Ghazi to also weigh in on this.
शुक्रिया टैमी। पहले तो उर्दू की जो बात हुई थी उस सिलसिले में मैं कुछ कहना चाहता हूँ। जैसे सलमान रशीद ने कहा कि पंजाब में उर्दू एक मुसलमानों की ज़बान कह के, असल में उर्दू का क़स्सा और पेचीदा है। ये सिर्फ पंजाब की कहानी थोड़ी है जनाब। हमारे तो पाकिस्तान बनाने वाले कायदे आज़म ढाका जाके उन्होंने कहा कि उर्दू कौमी ज़बान होगी। तो
जबकि
ये
उनको
क्यों
उर्दू
कहा?
इतनी अच्छी आती भी नहीं थी।
हाँ, तो ये क्यों कहा, ये समझने की बात है। ये इसलिए कहा कि पाकिस्तान की तहरीक और पाकिस्तान का मुतालबा अवाम का नहीं था, मुसलमान अशराफिया का था। और सारे पूरे ब्रिटिश इंडिया की जो मुसलमान अशराफिया थी वो एक डोरी में बंधी हुई थी उर्दू ज़बान की, चाहे वो मुर्शिदाबाद के लोग हों, चाहे वो लाहौर के लैंडेड एरिस्टोक्रेसी हो, कुछ हो, और कहीं के भी हो, और अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी उसका मरकज़ थी। तो वो वहाँ से ये उर्दू की बात हुई थी। ये तसव्वुर कि अवाम की ज़बान क्या होती है, अवाम का कल्चर क्या होता है, उनकी एस्पिरेशंस क्या होती हैं, उनकी नीड्स और उनके राइट्स क्या होते हैं, ये पाकिस्तान बनाने की तहरीक में शुरू से शामिल नहीं था। तो उसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम्स हुई हैं। अब जो बात है कि बहुत से लोग हैं जो ये समझते हैं, एक आपने वो किस्सा सुना होगा कि शाह फारूक ने किसने कहा था कि इस्लाम तो भाई 1947 में ईजाद हुआ है ना, क्योंकि यहाँ जो मुसलमान थे यहाँ के वो इस तरह से ओन करते थे अपने मज़हब को कि जैसे ये इन्हीं का मज़हब है, और अब शुरू हुआ है। तो ये इशू कि हमारी तारीख़ कहाँ तक जाती है, ये बहुत ही मुश्किल इशू है, लेकिन ये बिल्कुल वाज़ेह है। एक और क़िस्सा है कि किसी ने वली ख़ान से पूछा था कि आप पहले पाकिस्तानी हैं या पहले मुसलमान हैं? तो उन्होंने कहा मैं पश्तून तो 5000 साल से हूँ, और मुसलमान मैं 1400 साल से हूँ, और पाकिस्तानी मैं इतने सालों से हूँ। अब आप ख़ुद फैसला कर लें। तो ये है कि जो हमारा कल्चर होता है, जो ज़मीन का कल्चर होता है, उससे जो हमारा रिश्ता होता है वो सच्चा रिश्ता होता है। ज़मीन से रिश्ता जो है वो बहुत ज़रूरी भी होता है। तो हम जो हैं मोहनजोदड़ो को क्यों ना ओन करें जब वो हमारे पास है, और जिस तरह हमारी जो पाकिस्तान बना है और उसकी तहज़ीब है, तो हम ताजमहल को क्यों ना ओन करें? हम गालिब क्या हमारा शायर नहीं है? तो ये जो है कि इसको हम जोग्राफियाई हदों से महदूद नहीं कर सकते, और तारीख़ में जो मुख्तलिफ़ वाक़यात हुए उनसे महदूद नहीं कर सकते। जो कल्चर है पंजाब का वो सिखों और हिंदुओं के कल्चर के साथ मिला हुआ है, जो भी है तारीख़। बसंत है कल्चर, अभी आपने बसंत की बात की कि अब देखिए कि बसंत जो है वो नहीं हो सकती लाहौर में। PSL का फाइनल हो सकता है जिसमें 20,000 से ज़्यादा सिक्योरिटी के लोग हों, दुनिया उलट पुलट जाए, वो तो कर सकते हैं, लेकिन बसंत को प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर सकते, लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल को प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर सकते। तो ये प्रायोरिटीज़ की बात है।
Actually, this is such a huge topic. I mean, probably needs many sessions. Maybe they'll do it again next year. But I've got a couple of questions here. There's one here, Shima, perhaps you'd like to answer it. Please advise parents and teachers how to preserve culture. And let's talk about a constructive rebuilding of our culture.
सबसे पहले तो I think we must get our children to learn the classical arts. Even if they don't learn, an appreciation of those arts is what is important. For that, what we need to do is have a school system where at least there are the ustads coming, visiting to give lecture demonstrations. Misal ke taur pe koi sitar بجانے والے ہیں. اگر وہ سال میں 2 دفعہ ایک اسکول میں آ جاتے ہیں, talks about his instrument, talks about where sitar comes from, what how it is played, why is it played like this, تو ایک exposure ملتا ہے. So even that I think will be a big change. This is something that actually in 1947 when Nehru sat with Maulana Azad کہ کس طرح سے ہم انڈین کلچر کو آگے بڑھائیں, Maulana Azad is the one who gave him this idea that have your ustads, your gurus, your teachers visit every school, every college. اس میں یہ ہوگا کہ ان کو بھی کچھ آنریریم ملے گا اور ان کے ایکسپرٹیز کا ایکسپوجر ہوگا, and each child will get a little time to understand that art form, but he or she will not be able to learn it professionally, but at least اتنا تو ہو جائے گا appreciation, and perhaps later on they decide to pick it up and learn it more. So I think that is something that our education system should pick up. جو poems ہم لوگوں کو بچپن میں سکھائی جاتی ہیں, I'm also a product of English medium schools like so many of us, تو وہ twinkle twinkle little star پڑھاتے ہیں, مگر جو ہماری اپنی فوک پوئمس وغیرہ ہوتی ہیں, لوریاں ہوتی ہیں, وہ ہم نے کبھی بھی نہیں سنی ہوتی ہیں ایکسیپٹ پرہیپس جن لوگوں کے گھروں میں یہ. تو یہ چیزیں اس طرح سے if we introduce that into our education system, I mean for instance, I've gone to so many schools, I said, let me just come for once a year, one time a year, to give your children a lecture on what is classical dance, where does it come from, how did it originate. It originated from people's لیبر ایکٹیویٹی. جب لوگ کھلے فضا میں رہتے تھے دیہات میں, اینڈ دے وڈ کٹ دا سوئل, تو وہ ایک ردم میں جاتے تھے, اینڈ that kind of dance became the folk dance, and from folk dance it moved on to the classical dance. So these were the origins of whatever classical arts that we have, but we don't talk about these things, you know. So if these kind of things can be introduced, and I think this is because this is being done by Beacon House, maybe one can say this, that have these kind of things in your school
Well,
system.
it's interesting you're saying this, Shiva, because the next question relates exactly to that. What role can schools like Beacon House play
Can I
to
just
preserve our
answer that?
cultural heritage?
Yes.
And they've also the question goes on to ask about digitizing this. And Salman, you've written so many books. So, you know, like if you take that and you take it forward and you get people to understand, and maybe you have apps which people can link, you know, sections of your book, and they can explore virtually even if they don't want to go out there themselves. But, you know, there's all this that can be done as well to save culture.
Surely.
I'll just come to you.
A number of schools have approached me to do something called Classroom Without Walls for their students, which is taking children out to, for example, Taxila or Tilla Jogia or someplace, and talking history with them as we walk through the ruins. But it has never come to fruition. So none of the schools are serious. None of the television channels are serious. Every single major television channel has also spoken to me. Punjabi mein hum kehte hain thok ch pakode talna. That's what they want to do. They want me to give them money to put me on television. I don't give a damn about being on television, for God's sake. So it has never come to fruition. No one's serious.
No one's serious.
Okay.
Ji.
If I may, Tammy, taking this further, جو شینا نے بات کی اور جو کریکولم کی بات ہو رہی تھی, بھائی سب سے پہلے تو یہ جو ٹوئنکل ٹوئنکل لٹل اسٹار ہے نا, اس کو ٹوٹ بٹوٹ سے ریپلیس کریں. بیکاز ایون دا اسمالسٹ انگلش میڈیم اسکول جن کو مشکل سے انگلش بولنی آتی ہے, وہ بھی ٹوئنکل ٹوئنکل کر رہے ہوتے ہیں, گھر جا کے گراج کے گھر میں بھی ٹوئنکل ٹوئنکل ہو رہا ہوتا ہے. تو اس کو آئی ایم شیور وی کین ڈو اٹ آن اے میس اسکیل, اینڈ وی کین ڈو اٹ لائک جیسے جنگ نے وہ قاعدہ نکالا ہے اور عام جنگ کا وہ قاعدہ اتنا سرکولیٹ ہو رہا ہے, تو اس کا اگلا اسٹیپ یہ ہونا چاہیے کہ ہماری جو اپنی نظمیں ہیں, ہماری جو اپنے کردار ہیں, ہمارے جو اپنے آئکنز ہیں, ماضی سے لے لیں, پچھلے اس سے لے لیں, کیونکہ پچھلے 15 سال میں تو پوری انگریزی ہم پہ غالب ہوئی ہے نا, اور سارے وہ پوئمز جیک اینڈ جل اور ٹوئنکل. مجھے اتنی ہنسی آتی ہے, کبھی میری میڈ بھی آتی ہے نا تو اس سے ٹوئنکل نہیں کہا جاتا ہے اور ٹونکل ٹونکل کہہ رہی ہوتی ہے, اینڈ آئی ونڈر یار ٹوٹ بٹوٹ کہاں چلا گیا. ایک تو یہ چیز. دوسری چیز یہ بلڈنگ آن the art in curriculum. Why can't we have Mughal art, at least an exposure to Mughal art, Persian art, painting, and that like इन्होंने कहा once a year ही बुला लो. मैं कहती हूँ at least 6 times a year बुला के visual artists को वो बताएं बच्चों को कि हमारा क्या है, what is our painting culture. Allah Baksh हैं, Shakir, all these famous artists of Pakistan and even pre-partition जिन्होंने paintings बनाई थी, थोड़ा सा उसका exposure दें ताकि बच्चों को visual arts के हवाले से भी कुछ पता
But I
लगे.
think the real problem is that nobody can agree on what it is that we need to keep, what is worth keeping. Nobody agrees on that. That's the problem.
एक और सेमिनार करें.
But I think that that's the burning question. What is our heritage? Who decides what we keep? What is it we're going to keep? And why is the decision so arbitrary? Because at least in my lifetime, I've seen how Pakistan has evolved over the last 40 years or so, from like coming back from university, going to university, coming back, and seeing the huge differences. And I remember as a child things I could do that no child today does. So you see a huge difference, and people put it down to security situations, to terrorism, to things like that. But is terrorism is that going to be our legacy? Is that going to be our culture? I think we really need to decide as Pakistanis what we're going to reject and what we're going to keep. And I want to thank the 4 panelists.
I just wanted to say, sorry,
Ji.
one thing. कि देखिए इतने
You have 5
सालों में
seconds.
70 years of Pakistan, and we still haven't got a cultural policy for Pakistan.
Yeah.
We still have, at this present point, we don't have a federal cultural minister in Pakistan. I mean, we have not given importance to these things.
Because we don't know what our culture is. We can't decide. I mean, we're all at loggerheads as far as our culture is concerned. And, maybe our culture is just ban it. So if that's our culture, we're on the right path. I think we're going in the right direction. But I'd like to thank the 4 panelists. A round of applause for them. Thank you all for your patience and for listening. And I hope that we can pick this conversation up again soon. And definitely, I think that maybe somebody can follow up on what Salman said about, universities without borders. History without borders, classrooms without borders. Thank you very much.